What is going on, everybody? Welcome here to the Purple and Gold podcast. Guys, another amazing day to be a Minnesota Vikings fan, okay? Similar to last week, man. We always got to make it close, but we find a way to win these games. And you know what? I think that this is one of the more quality wins we have found this season, okay? In a game where it felt like we could just not figure out what they were doing offensively or defensively, okay? We did a great job of stopping them on defense, bending but not breaking, but it seemed like time and time again, the Cardinals were just marching into our territory and at least coming away with a field goal. And late in that game, right, found a way. Two huge interceptions to turn the tide. Jonathan Grenard's strip, which didn't ultimately end up in our hands, but that was a huge play in terms of momentum and, setting them farther back. So, and offensively, right? I mean, 6 points in the first half. That's, oh man, I had a lot to say in that moment. Because when you have as many playmakers as you have on the offensive side of the ball, there's no reason why that should be happening. But they come out in the second half, right? And you get that touchdown drive together, and then you can stack another one on top of it later, which would ultimately be the game-winning touchdown to a guy who was really having a terrible day in Aaron Jones with 2 fumbles and a dropped touchdown. Like, the perseverance of this team. And it's against a good Cardinals team too, okay? Coming into this game, I didn't realize how good this Cardinals defense really was. Like, we knew that the points that they were giving up were very marginal these last few weeks in this stretch where they've gotten pretty good. The Cardinals have gotten pretty good, and they're able to compete with any team in the league. We saw it today because, look, the fact of the matter is, right, we come away with this win. We are one of the top teams in the league, and so it's all about putting it 4 quarters all together like we did in Chicago last week. But, okay, let's talk about the good things. I thought Justin Jefferson was going to have a pretty big game today, and sure enough, that did happen. They gave him his opportunities, especially in zone coverage, but we saw again, time and time and again, they were doubling this guy and forcing Sam Darnold to go opposite with the ball. And, Justin Jefferson. If you don't think he's the best receiver in the league, I don't know what you're on, because he just draws as much attention as he does, more than anybody else, at the wide receiver position in the league, and he still creates his opportunities. Had a massive game today, so couldn't have done it without him, and most certainly couldn't have done it without Sam Darnold. There were some throws today that Sam Darnold made, and I was just like, holy crap. Like, these are the best throws that we've seen from Sam Darnold all year, and he's had some pretty damn good throws throughout the year, but in a day where they are making you just work extremely hard for every yard and every conversion and every throw. Just the touch, the layering to drop it over defenders. Heck, just throw a freaking bullet between 2 defenders as well. It was impressive. This is some damn good quarterback play. And how many times did he bail out this offensive line today from avoiding pressure, right? Breaking out of a sack and going up the field and, at least getting it back to the line of scrimmage, and then even had his fair share of first downs through the ground as well. Sam Darnold played a fantastic game, and, I hope he continues to hit his stride, and roll with that momentum, because the way that he's playing now, this is the best football that we have seen him play as a Minnesota Viking. And that says a lot, because early in the season, he was absolutely balling out. But I just think what they're asking him to do, and, when he's doing it, I think are all things that should be considered. And it just, oh man, I'm at a loss for words. Sam Darnold played really good today, and you really can't ask a whole lot more from your quarterback. Now, defensively, I think what was the most unfortunate thing throughout the course of the game was that even when we were sending 5, 6, 7 guys, we were just not able to get home. And it came down to that final drive where Jonathan Grenard finally got the first sack. I know that there were 2 holding calls that probably would have resulted in sacks had the Cardinals O-line not held our guys. But we got to get home sometimes. And again, like, it's these mobile quarterbacks. We saw it last week with Caleb Williams, and we see it this week with Kyler Murray. And one thing I noticed, right, as good as our edge rusher tandem is, we really give in to the speed rush. So what I'm talking about here is when you have your tackle right here, and this is our guy right here, they're going to try and get to the outside here and try and win with speed to try and widen the tackle here. But once we bend and we try to go under, that's when the quarterback here can break that contain and go to the outside. And we just see it time and time again. It seems to just bite us because, even if they're not pulling it down and running with the football, they're able to extend plays, get out of that clustered pocket. And so I would just like to see our guys not be less aggressive, but just be more mindful of the fact that, the guy that we're going up against is dual threat and he has the ability to escape. And we just got to be wary of that. I think they did a good job of adjusting to that against Caleb Williams last week throughout the course of the game, but just didn't really see it here against Arizona. And, it got us. It got us in some crucial downs, right? But again, in a day where, your running back is just, he's not there at all. Aaron Jones was not present. And every crucial down, it seemed like every third down that they were trying to go for, they had an answer for it. And for every third down that we had, we just couldn't get the ball moving. And, we just captured every ounce of momentum that we could find, put into a ball, and just use that energy throughout the duration of, I would say, the last, let's say, 22 minutes, a quarter and a half of the game. It was just fantastic to see that this team was able to adjust and come back the way that they did. And for that reason, I think that's probably why it was one of the more quality wins of the season. We've dominated some games early in the course of the season, and now we're coming through this patch where we're finding out which teams are really good, which teams we might potentially see in the playoffs. I think this is one of those teams here in the Arizona Cardinals who, despite being a game back now, they're still very much in the race of winning that NFC West division. So that is a potential playoff team that we just saw today. But again, in a day where it felt like nothing was going our way and we just couldn't seem to figure out what they wanted to do, we somehow found the answers. Miraculously. And we come out with the victory. I'm happy, man. I'm happy. You don't always come out with wins like this, right? And I think sometimes we take for granted how good the coaching staff is when the game is within reach. They just find a way. And I think we just expect them to do it every single time. And, more times than not, that they end up doing that. And we end up with the W. But there are teams around the league who just cannot do it. Or it's really a coin flip. And, more times than not, you want this team to be in these situations because you know that they can deliver. And whatever plan they have in place is one that they've practiced time and time and again. They're battle-tested, man. They're battle-tested. They're a group that believes, and they're a group that is talented and more than capable enough to execute this time and time and again. Do we want to be in these spots every week? No. I would love to win a game more comfortably and just be like, damn, we can go out here and put the pedal to the metal and, take out some of these teams with ease. But again, it's a tough Cardinals team that came into town today. We still found a way to win, and that's all that matters. It sucks that every week we have to kind of scoreboard watch the Lions because, despite us being one of the best teams in football right now, we are still somehow the number 2 team in our own division. So, we'll keep watch. As long as we keep winning, we'll keep watching those Lions games and, just keep crossing our fingers that we get that opportunity because, hey, we have a good chance to be the number 1 seed in the NFC, which would be huge for a team that is as good as they are at home. Yeah, we could use that. So that is a recap there of the Minnesota Vikings Arizona Cardinals game. Hopefully we get some guys to come back. I think having Josh Oliver back would be a huge addition. We saw how important the number 2 tight end was today with Johnny Munt getting into the end zone and having his fair share of plays. So, if we can get them back and hopefully Stephon Gilmore, hopefully he doesn't have too serious of an injury because, his absence was definitely felt when he left the game. So let's get healthy. Let's keep stacking up those wins. But until then, let's go Vikings. And again, if you love this team as much as I do, as you can see, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. But until then, I'll see you all later. Peace.